This is CC and Millie. Okay. This is CC and Millie, and you are now listening to Senior Moments. As previously stated, these are our thoughts. Our subject today is separating the children from their parents. I found a couple of quotes that talk about how much parents love their children. Parents' love is the only love that is truly selfless, unconditional, and forgiving. Parents are the only ones obligated to love you when the rest of the world, you have to earn the love. As I said before, our subject today is separating children from the parents. I'm starting this off by making a statement that I'm sure everybody knows. Donald Trump does not tell the truth. He initially said he could not sign an executive order. Then, what does he do? Sign an executive order. Is our current administration senile? Or maybe he thinks everyone else is senile. Donald Trump did sign an executive order to end family separation. But in typical Trump style, it is not clear how to enforce his executive his executive order. In typical Donald Trump style, he does not think things through. There is no clear start. There are no clear follow-up steps, and there's no clear conclusion. Donald Trump just likes drama. He thrives on drama. I think that sometimes he forgets that in this day and age, things are not about he said, she said. In this day and age, there are a lot of things that can be done that prove the truth. In this day and age, everybody has a camera, and so a lot of pictures are taken, and then there's the internet. So after the pictures are taken or the videos that show exactly what was said, then it's on the internet. So that means it's going to a larger mass of people. And so things that he says or does, they're easy enough to prove. I talk about the children because for me, this is a slippery slope. The first thing they do is get rid of the children. The next thing, old people, of which I am a happy member. This is, to me, a very, very slippery slope. I think about the things that these refugees have endured. Severe hardships in their homeland, gangs, murders, rapes, violence. During the trip to get here, just exposing their children to the very worst. They're exposing them to the elements, to the lack of food, just simply not having enough water, just drinking water. How many of us can just go and turn a faucet and get a drink of water? Can you even imagine some of the hardships these families have endured just to get here, to have someplace safe to raise their children? In America, I will say that I think a lot of things need improvement, but compared to some of these families, we really do have it good. Just think, after they've endured all that they have endured, to finally get to the United States and to be separated from their children, to not be available to protect them as best you can, to make sure in some of these homes, the thing that tore my heart apart was hearing the children cry and the workers being told not to touch the children. I'm sure that the enforcement of that is to provide the children a sense of safety, but you've got these little bitty babies crying for their parents, and they don't know which way to go, and the parents aren't available to see that their children's needs are being, their basic needs are being met as best they can. Let me just say, every time I see this on the news, the one thing that they are constantly stressing is how safe everything is. Well, it is not safe. They had a case down in Arizona, I want to think, that one of the sheriffs was, I say sheriff, but I'll say law enforcement officer was molesting a 4-year-old, and the mother was afraid to report it because she's afraid if she reports it, then she'll be deported, and then her child will be in a worse situation. Now they did finally catch him, and he is off his job, but how often can this happen? You have so many places where there's always going to be the ones that take advantage, whether it's Katrina, where people that have lost everything in the flood, that people were breaking into their homes and stealing their valuables. You think that when you see this, these people have lost everything. And that's how I look at the refugees. They've lost everything. They've done everything to get someplace that they think might be a safer place than the place they left. And look what they've gotten into. And Donald Trump keeps saying, you know, we're not going to let these people come into our country. My thought is Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump and what is available for Donald Trump. And so my sentiment is, if you believe any different, then I feel you are sadly misled. Millie?
You know, as Donald Trump make decision on the immigrant crossing the border, all the governors of some of the states that was going to send out troops to the borders, the children and the parents was being separated. So they decided that they wasn't going to send any more troops to the border. They wasn't, and some of the governors was of the states, they was also thinking about withdrawing, rescinding their borders, sending the troops to the borders, because they was just as upset as a lot of the other citizens. And it didn't matter whether you was a Republican or Democrat. It was really, everybody was just getting upset more and more. And so they was really doing different things. They was protesting, and they was doing so much. They was putting a lot of pressure on the president.
Oh, yeah, they put enough pressure on him till he rescinded, because initially he said, and you know, he can say he didn't say it, or maybe we misunderstood, but it's been recorded. Mm-hmm. He was initially said he couldn't sign an executive order. You know, my sentiment about our current administration is that when it looks good, he wants to take credit. To me, the abundance that has been in the economy was because of the things that President Obama left in place. Mm-hmm. Now that Donald Trump has come into office, these abundances are gradually dissipating. Mm-hmm. You know, he wants to take credit when things look good, but when things don't look good, oh, it's those Democrats. Oh, it's Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's Obama. Obama did this. And so to me, if you want to take credit for things really that you didn't do when the going looks good, well, when things happen on your watch, then you're the current administration, you know, you should take credit. Mm-hmm. And to me, it shows, it shows a lack of character for him, a lack of moral responsibility. I don't know what to think. He's making us look bad in the whole world with the way that he is handling this and the way that he is treating this people. And it makes me think that somebody that has always had an abundance of everything really does not know about people that have had to do without, you know, whether it's the babies. And my sentiment is, I'm getting so emotional about this. They're separating these babies from their family, and these babies are too small to even know their names, some of them. And so they're sending these children all over the United States, from the east to the west and north to south. Mm-hmm. How are they going to put these families? Some of the families have been sent back to their home countries. How are they going to put these babies back with their families?
They're going to have to do something. And, you know, Mr. Elijah Cummings, he's a Democrat of Maryland. And, you know, Trump said that for families separating policy, you know, it was a zero policy. And Session is the one that announced it for them to let them know that it would. And then they start taking the children from the parents as soon as they get to the border, and the children go one way and the parents go another way, and they send them to a lot of different places, like CC has said. And uh, as usual, Trump said the Democrats are the problem, and they don't care about crime. They don't care about illegal immigrants, no matter how bad they may be. They pour into the and infest our country, and like the MS-13s, that's a game, that came over, and they can't win on their terrible policy. They want to bring those in so we can view them as potential voters. So he is saying that all these people coming into the country, they're going to be Democrats. He don't know that.
He doesn't. He doesn't. Just because after what Donald Trump said about Hispanics, I was surprised. We work at the election board, and I was surprised to see when they have to the primaries, and they have to choose the party that they're voting for. With primaries, they have to
say what
they have to say what party they want, not necessarily the person, but they have to choose their party. I was surprised still at the number of Hispanics, because I was surprised at the number of Hispanics that voted Republican, because he's already said what he thinks about you. And when I listen to this, and I listen to the lies that he tells, and a lot of them are just unnecessary lies.
And our people, they voted saying that voted for President Trump because they will eliminate something they didn't like about him, and then they voted for what they did like. But some of those things was going to hurt them, and they know it, but they voted for him anyway because they like some of the other stuff that he was lying about.
Oh yeah.
And so this is my version of everything I'm saying. This is what I believe, not the radio station. This is no bearing on the radio station, because this is what I believe in. And go ahead.
I was getting ready to say, even with this trade war that we're having, a lot of his base, I will say that his base still believes in him. But I will say that as far as I can see, his base is getting smaller, because look at all the people that work for Harley Davidson. They're sending part of their production to a foreign country just so that they can bypass the trade war that we're having, so that they can get their parts. I was looking at television today, and it said just with the trade war, the price now to manufacture one of their motorcycles will be $2,200 more, just because of the trade war. Right. And so I will say that his base might hang on every word and listen to every word, but I do truly believe that because of the procedures that he's putting into place, his base is getting smaller.
His base may be getting smaller, but a lot of them is believing in him that do not. They know that he is a terrible liar, but that's not going to stop them from voting for him. The next time they vote for Trump, there's going to be a lot of people that don't like him. They can still vote for him.
Yeah, and you know what, Millie, I believe you, because I never will forget when they had this television program, and I can't even think of what news show it was, but there was this guy, and I want to think he was near where the coal mines were, because he had black lung disease. And so they were asking him, what was he going to do about his black lung disease? And so he was saying that he was going to vote for Donald Trump. This was before the election. And so they were saying, don't you know that President Obama is the one that put the law in effect so that you could get help with your black lung disease? And so he was saying no. And this man looked like he had, maybe 1 foot in the graveyard and 1 foot at death's door. He looked like he was just about gone. And the fact that he didn't care, the policy that he had, the insurance that he had, was paying for his his black lung disease. And I want to think it was some astronomical figure. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was something like $5,000 a month. And so the policy and the insurance that President Obama had put into place is what was taking care of him. And so this reporter was trying to, advise him, what President Obama did is what is taking care of your health at this point. And this man, he said he didn't care. And so my thought is, if you don't care about the person that's helping you, then you'll see what Donald Trump has done. And already since he's been in, they're trying to reduce, and I'm saying this because the name of our show is Senior Moments. I'm saying this, that it's already passed through the House. They're trying to reduce Medicare. They've already passed it through the House of Representatives. Now it still has to go through the Senate. And so if the Senate has plans to update or change it, but they're taking money away from the seniors. And they act like this is something that they're giving us. And I don't know about you, but I worked a lot of years. And the years that I worked, we had to take money out and put into Medicare and Social Security. So they act like this is something that they're giving us. I beg to differ. This is money that we've put in. And if they didn't treat it like it was a great big candy dish or a cookie jar, the money would be there for us. And so now they're taking it away from us. And so the benefits that we have are going to be less and less and less. And they want to holler about us not having enough. Let my co-host talk because I'm very aggravated.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go to break and we will be back. And this has been Senior Moment. KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, the Kansas City Global Community Radio Station.
Oh no, well then I'll let you talk because I'm fussing. I'll announce and then I'll just turn it over to you. Can you tell I don't, to me, they keep wanting to stress that these babies are okay. And so then you hear of this law enforcement officer that's molesting this 4-year-old child and threatening the mother that if you say anything, you're going to be deported. He turned us off because he turned us off. You're going to be deported, but to have to witness somebody molesting your 4-year-old baby. I'll turn it over to you because I'm just fussing. This is KUAW, Kansas City's global community radio station. Our subject today is separating children from parents. Since I have gotten in a fussing mood, I'm going to let my co-host, Millie, talk about separating the children from parents.
Okay. Well, this is a quote that Trump said. He said, you have one party that's in favor of open border, and you have one party that want a secure border. So Mr. Miller said all day long, the American people are going to side with the party that wants the secure border, but not a little bit. But there's 5 to 45, and there is 20 to 10, and there is 90 to 10. And the 90 to 10 is for the border. So therefore, I'm talking about that this will be the people going to be the Republican. The Republican is 90 to 10 because they want a secure border. And so they lost my thought. So they the one that want the border, and the Democrat, they don't like open border, but that's what Trump said the Democrat like. But the Democrat really not saying that they like open border. That's what Trump said. But he likes to add things that the Democrat
or misstate things. He says things in a way that completely take from the topic. He says things in a way that makes the statements that he says false. Like he said the Mexican president was going to pay for the wall. the Mexican president, every time Donald Trump said that, the Mexican president came on and said, oh no, we are not paying for a wall.
Yes.
And Donald Trump tried to sweet talk him and get him to not say it so much. But every time he heard that Donald Trump said it, he came on and said, oh no, we're not paying for it. And so, he says things in a way that are completely misleading.
Yes, he do that a lot. And, we had breaking news 6/19/2018, and that's when the official executive order came out for to allow the
to keep them from being separated, the
immigrants, immigrant family, to be in the detention center together. And Trump also signed the executive order for the families to be together. And also the very next day or two, he brought up the people that had children or young people killed by the people that's coming over the border. So he wanted to make sure everybody knew that all the people that's coming over the border are killers or robbers or rapists or something. So he made sure that he showed that right after he signed this bill for the children. And also the Jeff Sessions said he was working with Trump on the executive order. I don't know how true that was. I just, those are breaking news that come because him and Sessions is not that close that I think they work together, but maybe they do.
But, Ted Cruz is ultra right. And for Ted Cruz to say this is terrible, even the Pope got in on it and said this is terrible to separate. And I'm not Catholic, but, even for all these religious leaders to get in and say this is terrible to separate the babies from their families. And my prayer is that they are able to reunite every baby back with their parent.
And also, with that said, now it was in part of the order that the parents can get their children in exchange to be deported.
Yeah.
Now, parents is going to accept their kids. What they can do what they want to do after, because they getting back with their kids. But I don't know if it's lawful that, something
has a stipulation. Yeah.
He said that, a lot of things, and all of it is not correct.
That's true.
And so
the fact that the Supreme Court also has sided with the administration as far as not having to give them a trial, just to sending them right on back.
Yes.
And to me, that's not fair. It shows that we have a very conservative Supreme Court.
And also, they wanted judges. They asked Trump, would he have 5,000 judges to come so he can have trials for the immigrants, so they can, have that quick trial and make a decision on whether they're going to stay in or they can leave. But he was against that. That didn't happen, or it had not yet.
Yeah.
And also, it was breaking news before we left and came to the station today about the travel ban. And the Supreme Court uphold the President Trump for passing the travel ban. I'm trying to get it together. So yeah, when the Supreme Court passed that, the vote was 5-4, and some of the news media was saying that the reason it was 5-4 because Trump had the guy he put in, Garcia or Garson or something.
Yeah.
And so still don't know if the man that he replaced, that died, don't know which way he would have voted. You don't know.
Right.
But this was the third version of the travel ban. The first two times the travel ban didn't pass, It was because he only had Syria, Libya, Yemen, Somali. Those are and so it was racial. So they wouldn't pass it the first
Right.
two times. So they added uh, Venezuela and North Korea to it this time and sent it back to the Supreme Court. And this time the Supreme Court couldn't look at it like it was racial.
Right.
And so this time it went past. But not only that, it's not going for it because it's just going back to Hawaii so they can have another trial about this. So it's not done just because it just sent back from the Supreme Court.
Okay. Our current administration, he wants to be in a dictatorship so bad that you can almost just feel it. If he's not undoing all of the good that President Obama has done, he's praising the dictators, and he would like to be one. But our country just won't allow him to be a dictator.
You know what? Yesterday I heard, I don't know, in passing, he was pointing out the Korean guy, Kim.
Yeah.
He was pointing out Kim Jong-un or whatever his name
the North Korean president.
Yeah, North Korean president. He said, see how the people, all he has to do is clap and they do what he say.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, that's what my people should do.
Yeah. He wishes.
You are in the United States.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what he wants. I heard that he said that that they stand at attention and that's what he wants.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And so this has been Senior Moments. So I'm getting ready to do spiritual moment. And I'm going to read from Ezekiel 37 and 1 through 4 or 5. The hands of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them around about. And behold, there was very many in the open valley, and lo, they was very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. As he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and said unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thou saith the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. And I will lay sinew upon you, and I will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you. Okay. And this has been Senior Moments with CC and Millie. And this is KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom with Kansas City Global Radio Station. Have a good day.
That was a call, paper calling me back. I just disconnected the call. I have to call her.